Melon Mogger in Canada, the geeks are in San Francisco, and I am here. We're filling in for Melon Mog on what is normally Sketch Up with Melon Mog. I am producer Kyle. We're doing a live sale. I have got a box of priced and ready to go vintage. We'll determine how vintagey it all is as we go. We have a special guest co-host, Tom Hutchison of Big Dog Inc., who you'll get to talk to in just a second. But in the meantime, hit share, hit like, hit subscribe, do all the things. Become a member of the EXP. Help us out. And if you can figure out how to get Meta to work, Facebook's being a pain in the butt right now. So, and making pop-ups happen on my screen while I'm trying to talk to you. So if you can yell at Zuckerberg while we play the opener for the Producers Live Sale, that would be super helpful for me because I don't have time to do both. So stick around. It's going to be a thing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Producers Live Sale. I am producer Kyle. Jay has the night off, as is always the case here on Thursdays. And I have a great friend here with me. He is the person held responsible for one of the coolest publishers I know. He's also one of the few people on the planet taller than me and better at me than fantasy football. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Tom Hutchison from Big Dog Inc.
Not this year, my friend. Holy God. I mean... Like this was one of my worst in the history. I've been playing fantasy football since you had to whip out a newspaper and find your stats and figure it out yourself. And this year we drafted 15 players for our teams. And as of the end of the season, I had a total of 3 remaining players from my original draft that were still on my team. It was devastating throughout the season for me. Just
it was
obliteration. Yeah.
And your league is huge.
Yeah.
In terms of the number of teams playing. So you have to draft guys who are third stringers on a lot of teams.
Yeah.
To fill your roster. And sometimes you're like me, you get lucky and you pick up a guy like Harold Fannin because he went to the school that's 20 minutes down the road and I knew he was going to be a monster because I got to watch him play a lot in college, right? But sometimes you wind up drafting Christian McCaffrey on the year where he blows out, or better yet, you pick up the one year you get Aaron Rodgers is the year he blows out his Achilles 4 seconds into his first game.
Right. Well, one of my guys, I had Sam Laporta, and he only lasted like 6 games, and then he was gone. You know, like just oh my God.
Yep. No. Anyway, so this year's fantasy football was crazy, but the other thing Tom and I share is an affinity for old comics and weird comics and comics that you find in strange places like storage units and closing down shops and all kinds of weird places, right? But before we go into that, Tom, Big Dog Inc., what's going on with Big Dog Inc.? Let's get the plugs out. Let's get all the, we'll come back to them, but let's tell people what's going on with Big Dog.
Sure. So we celebrated 15 years of publishing last year. It was a struggle for us. I had my mom passed last year, and so that's not exactly the way you want to celebrate, a big anniversary, but, we kind of powered through and I've gotten back into the work. And so this year is the 15-year anniversary of our book, The Legend of Oz, The Wicked West. So we're kind of back into celebratory mode here. And we're doing most of the books that we do this year will be focusing on Oz. So we have a Kickstarter running right now that ends Sunday night. So if you guys want to get in on this, you've got basically 3.5 days. And then that campaign is over. Then we'll be doing an anthology for our Oz series in March, which will introduce a whole bunch of new characters that have never appeared in the ongoing series. And then it'll come back for a couple more campaigns throughout the year to wrap up the sort of the story arc and the Oz celebration. That's Oz, for those that don't know. It's our Dorothy Gale. She's a Western gunfighter with ruby bullets and ruby spurs. Toto's her horse. So that cover is not available. That's an old Joe Chiodo cover he did for us. If you want that, I still have a back issue of it, but it is not available on this campaign. There's all new stuff on the campaign, and just go to all you have to do is go to Kickstarter.com, type in Oz, O-Z. We pop right up to the top, and you'll see us.
Very cool. And then, guys, we're going to have a book tonight. I'll let you know when it comes up. But if you buy that book, that money will go into the Kickstarter. So there you go. That's how I've decided I'm going to handle this book. That Tom knows what it is, but that's how I'm going to handle this book tonight. Any money you spend on this book will get given in the just support us tier of the Kickstarter. With no, I'm not going to make him send me a comic, and because no. We're just going to support the Kickstarter and make it happen.
You can at least get the digital copy or something, man. Come on, we can get you something.
It's like I'm not going to walk up to you at a convention and just get it. Anyway. It's not like I don't see you. So we're going to get into
I haven't seen you in like a year because you ditched out on me the last couple of cons.
No, it's true. I'll see you in Traverse City.
Yes, good.
Yeah,
good. Yes,
that's gonna be a fun show. By the way, I have got a huge booth at that show. Anyway,
nice.
So we are going to we're going to switch over and start the live sailing of the things with by going like this. So and then like that. And so we're going to start with some Spawn and some Batman. Ironically, two characters that are more similar than they would like to admit. So we have Spawn number 3 right here. This is a $10 book. It is the first appearance of Wanda Blake. It is in very nice condition for being a Spawn. Because a lot of times you get Spawn and they're beat up, right? That Spawn is gorgeous. It's Spawn number 3. And then we have Batman number 321. You're cordially invited to the Joker's birthday, and you're welcome to watch the fireworks. If you watch the Harley Quinn animated series, they replicated this cover in that series. So that is a lot of what the collectability on that issue is. So check that one out. So, Tom, if you don't want to wander into this kind of part of the conversation, just don't. But
do you know who I am?
I'm giving you an out. There's been a big conversation across the Zuckerberg platform this week, started by Todd McFarlane of Spawn.
Of course. I've already chimed in.
All right. I haven't read what you chimed in on. I haven't heard what you said.
Yeah.
There's a thing about, he said that if the artist was good, he could sell a book written by your dog.
Yeah, he said he could sell a book with art by Michelangelo that was written by his dog, insinuating that he can sell a book on art alone.
Is it true? Do you
think it's true? Of course it's true. Of course it's true. I'm a writer. Of course it's true. Now, this does not mean that there are not people who buy books because of writers. That's not what he's saying. But what he is saying is that particularly in this market, we have a market that people buy and collect art hardcore and not, how do I say this part carefully? There are people who will just buy it for the cover and they will never open the book and open the inside. So the story really doesn't matter. You could have blank pages in there for all they care, because really all they bought it for was the J. Scott Campbell cover or the Art Germ cover or the Rob Liefeld cover or whoever it is. They're just like, I just want that cover, and that's all I'm here for. There are publishers, smaller publishers that I have talked to who have told me in no uncertain conditions that they are unconcerned with what they put on the inside of the book, because they are only selling covers. That is their goal, is we're just going to sell the covers and we don't care what's on the inside, because in their mind, the customer doesn't care what's on the inside, which is wild to me. That's a real wild take for particularly a small publisher to take. It's a very wild take, but that's them. That's their thought process. And while I agree with Todd's sort of general thought process, the other side to that a lot of people have come in with is like, well, it takes both to be good. I'm like, of course. Over the long term, you want something on the inside of that book that keeps people coming back for that character, particularly if it's your own character and nobody knows what it is. Small press. That's why it's weird that small press has that take. But if all you have to do is put J. Scott Campbell on Wonder Woman and you're going to sell the book, it becomes less important what's on the inside, because they're just buying it for the J. Scott Campbell Wonder Woman cover, and it's selling and it's working. But then even the insides are still an artist's world. He's still building that artistic visual off of the script, of course, which the script appears in the book in the form of balloons and all of that. But even the balloons and everything are artistic and have to be laid out properly. And it's not just words are thrown at the page. And so for me, comics have always been visual first. And then what is your story? What is your character? What is your, what are you doing with it? But just from a very, very basic standpoint of I can sell Michelangelo with a dog story. Yeah, you can do it. That's a factual statement.
All right, we have Superman number 8, Superman Man of Steel number 18, first appearance of Doomsday, $10. And we'll do Batman number, please hold. I love that thing where they put the number in dark lettering on a dark cover.
Yes.
I can't read you what number this Batman is because it is too dark and my eyes are too shit. But this is definitely the first appearance of Lucius Fox. It is also a Whitman variant on a Batman. $30 on that guy. It is not as minty as I would have liked it to be, but it is still in very good shape for what it is. Yeah, and so the thing that I've been
real quick buzzsaw in the feed, collaborative art form, 100%. No one is going to dispute it's 100% because even Michelangelo in Todd's little blurb requires the dog's story to be something. Right? We all agree it's a collaborative effort. All of us will agree that if you have good art and you have good storytelling, you have another level up within the concept of a comic book. But just based on his simple statement, I can sell Michelangelo with a dog story. This is fact.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's an interesting. Oh, that's right, Jeremy. Thank you. Okay, so there's a little mark on the cover, so we're going to change that to $25 because I thought that was the number.
That's right. Now that he says that, that's right. I forgot all.
Right, you're right. You're right. When you write, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to change it to $25 because there's a little mark on the cover. I don't know if it's schmutz. I don't know if it's something written on the cover. But we're just going to take $5 right off of that book for me being blind as a bat and forgetting things.
That happens.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, Tom, is, and it's a thing that I'm sure you've heard because you have on Big Dog Inc. You have incredible cover artists. You have incredible covers. And I know folks at Zenescope have heard the same thing, and it's where it's, well, all they care about is the cover. But no, like, again, at Big Dog Inc., I know how much effort you put to the insides of the book as well.
Sure.
I know how much effort Zenescope puts on the inside of the book.
Sure.
It's, so there's this idea
we catch flack, just real quick on that, we catch flack because we've got the pretty girls. And so there's an assumption that whatever's on the cover is what's on the inside. It's literally judging a book by the cover. And that's just simply not the case. People that are in this business understand the difference between a retail sales cover, like for your comic book store, a pinup cover of this type, if you want to go further, in NSFW type of cover and so on. And all of those things are aimed for different audiences. And so we are trying to put our toes in all of these different, puddles to sell to all of these different people in all of these different worlds. So the assumption is, oh my God, you've got a sexy Dorothy. So the insides are clearly just going to be sexy Dorothy story. That's not the case. Now there are some that are like that. Hey, we do NSFW and the insides are that too. That's a thing that exists. And so to some sort of unfortunate degree, sometimes that gets heaped on the entire industry of everybody, but that's just the way it is. And all I have to do is say, nope, let me show you my books and you'll understand what we're doing. And it's fine.
Yeah, no. And I think that's the thing that, like, sometimes rubs me the wrong way about these conversations, right? Is that people just assume.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever they're going to assume. Right.
Sure.
And it turns into this problem of how do you then, as a retailer or as someone who's on the internet selling comics, go, no. I can only show you the cover right now. I cannot show you page 12 where this amazing story plot thing happens, or this really great splash page happens where it tells a ton of story by the art, and the writer has clearly put in all this effort to get it to that point.
Sure.
It's, hey, there's this cover. Like it's such a hard thing to do sometimes. Be like, no. Like, you got to read 13, 14, 15 pages before, like, you're really going to dig this book, and sometimes that's a struggle. In the meantime, Spawn, number 5, $10. There's a poster of the Spawn mobile in there. And we're going to do Spawn number 9 for $10. First appearance of Angela, first appearance of medieval Spawn in number 9 there. $10. By the way, guys,
no, go ahead.
If you buy any of these books tonight, you're just helping me get a haircut before Comics Pro.
So what I was going to say is what you just said, right? It's sometimes it's hard to get people to read 8, 9, 10 pages, but they'll buy the book if it has a good cover. That's right. Todd McFarlane. That's Todd telling you this is how we can do it. And right now, it's happening right now. Look at all the Invincible crossover covers. That doesn't happen on the inside of the book. People are buying it simply because of what's on the outside, the cover. And that's it. They just want that piece of art. They want Darkness versus Omni-Man. And, that looks awesome. So give me that. They're literally buying it for nothing other than that cover. That's Todd McFarlane.
There's only one series. I'm one of these guys who I buy writers, right? Like, I love writers. Don't get me wrong, I have artists that I love too, but I love writers. So I buy writers. The only series where it's always been the covers for me has been Turtles.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I will buy every Turtles cover. Just sight unseen, right? Like, it's but the Eastman covers I will buy less than sight unseen. Like, it's, I don't even need to know that it's actually a Turtles book. Oh, Eastman drew a cover of something else? All right, give me 7.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. It's such a weird dichotomy for me sometimes where it's like I don't want to admit that it's true, but it's totally true.
But you're just deep in that genre, that fandom. That's all that is. It's like me with Godzilla. I buy tons of Godzilla stuff. I'm deep in that fandom. So, that's no big deal. Jaws stuff comes out. I'm like, oh my God, like Jaws, that's great. Give me some more Jaws stuff. There's nothing wrong with that.
Speaking of Godzilla,
gonna drop a Godzilla book on us here?
No. But we had a video here on the EXP get kind of a lot of views where I was rolling my eyes about how much Godzilla there is now.
Comics? Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. And like this idea of I want one comic, but I want it to be perfect. Instead of a whole bunch of comics that are
they're good. super random right now on Godzilla. Yeah.
Right. So Spawn, number 2, first appearance of the Violator, aka John Leguizamo. And we'll do, how about an X Factor number 1, first appearance of Russell Collins' Fire Fist, but it's X Factor number 1. You know why you're buying this book if you buy an X Factor number 1. $35. That is by the way, that is one of the nicer X Factor number 1s I've ever owned.
Here's a bit of X Factor trivia for you. Let's see if you know this. Originally, X Factor was not going to be the original 5 X-Men. It was going to be the 4 plus a girl. Do you know who the girl was?
Cyclops' mom.
You're so close.
Really?
No.
I was gonna say. Damn. No, I honestly don't know. I feel like that's something that Jeremy Shore is going to be screaming at his TV right now in the comments.
Well, we'll give people a chance. We'll see. Does anybody know who? Don't go to Google and try and figure it out. Does anyone genuinely know who was originally going to be planned to be the girl in X Factor before they made a switcheroo? See if anybody knows.
Do they later become an X-Man?
They were already an X-Man. Yeah.
Can they phase through things?
They cannot. Kitty Pryde would have been a very weird choice. Not that this other one isn't kind of a weird choice too,
Right.
but Kitty would have been a weird choice.
Gotta be a very strange choice. All right, I can do this on this book. If you get it right in the comments without Googling, and I'm gonna take your word for it that you didn't Google, I will give you $5 off the next book I'm putting on the.
It is not stolen.
Putting on the thing.
James. It is not
X Factor number 5 for Cameo of Apocalypse, regularly 20. I'll give you $5 off of that if you can get the answer to this.
I always liked this X Factor book. I remember when this came out. I was a kid when this came out, and I lost my mind over this book. I thought it was really fun. It gets a lot of crap. Even Bob Layton, who worked on this book, gives it a lot of crap because there was so much editorial going on and just changes and it was very inconsistent. But I've always loved this book. I love the original run up to like whatever it was, 60 something before it like switched over to the new team right after Inferno. So I love this book. If you guys haven't read this book, it's genuinely a fun superhero / X-Men book. And the concept of it is really cool too. If you don't know the concept of X Factor, basically it's the original 5. They get back together and they set up X Factor, who are basically mutant hunters. Like you can call them and like, hey, I found a mutant, like come get them. And the assumption is that they're going to kill the mutant. But what they would do is find the mutant, like Rusty, who's one of the first guys they get, the fire kid. And they just take him back. They're like, hey, we got him. But they take him back and they're like, hey, look, we're going to teach you how to, handle your powers and all that kind of stuff. So that's sort of the original premise of X Factor.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed this too. But like, again, this is one of those things, like this is a character that I'm about to put up. That is why I like X Factor. Is some of the characters that come in later, like Apocalypse and like some of these others. So this is X Factor 24. This is first full Archangel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I like Archangel, but I like that Archangel, not the crappy one from the original movies. I like that one. So I don't know.
This was a huge moment in comics, man. I mean, this is one of these things where you turned a good guy. You back to Inferno, right? They're snapping his wings and he's pissed off and he's basically ready to commit suicide. And then Apocalypse is like, nope, I got a plan. And he becomes Archangel. So it's a great story. Right. And Walt Simonson on these art pieces, like crazy.
Yeah, and exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like this was maybe a little bit more morally realistic X-Men concept, where you're a good guy, sure, but like the right situation turns you not into a good guy. There's the right influences or the wrong influences can bring you back from the brink, but you're so different from where you were because of what led you there that now you're not so much of a hero anymore as you are a rogue kind of anti-hero, or in this case, a full-blown villain.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeremy says, here's my wife's comments on X Factor. She started the business. This was the team that couldn't keep the original series going for more than 66 issues, and we think they can support their own. Series again. Sorry, there's a second comment. Series again. Bring back X Factor is what Jeremy Shore is saying of Titan Comics and Texas. I will say something to the people I'm meeting with DC in a few days, or Marvel in a few days. By the way, if I say to CB, Jeremy, that you guys should bring back X Factor, and that's already in their slide deck, which I haven't seen.
Well, but again, the problem with bringing back X Factor though is that you need a concept, and the concept is over now. You can't just go back to this concept. Even when they rebooted it in X Factor, it was like Peter David and Larry Stroman and whatever were doing it. Like the whole concept changed from like issues, I think it was like 71 or 72, something like that. Like the entire concept changed. So that's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't just that you had the original 5 characters and that's why we're like, yay, the original 5. It's like they had a concept of how to use these characters, how to bring them back, how to put them in a situation that we haven't seen before. And that's what made that genuinely interesting. And then, of course, you had all of the stuff where you had Apocalypse and you had Freedom Force and you had all this stuff going on, and that led into Mutant Massacre and Inferno and all this stuff. So it was just a different time in comics. And so now, if you were to be like, well, let's bring X Factor back, you'd be like, well, what is X Factor? It's just a team of guys under the name X Factor. So
I'm not saying
what does it mean? Sure.
Right. Like, but there's going to be a time in the next week where I'm alone in a room on speakerphone with Marvel Legal, CB, and David Gabriel.
Yeah.
And the last 3 years, I've accurately predicted their big events before they send me their slide deck.
Big events. Do they not understand that we don't want those anymore?
I understand. But CB thinks I'm a witch.
Oh, okay.
If I tell them you should bring back X Factor and it's in the slide deck before they send it to me, so I have no idea.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you may need to protect me from like getting burned at the stake or dunked in a water to see if I drown, or any of those old school techniques to see if I'm actually a witch. Because the man will lose his mind.
They need to go back into some of their oddity characters and get a little weird. Like, people always ask, like, what would you write if you were like at Marvel or DC? I'd be like, they wouldn't want me, because the things I want to do, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing that for?
Bring back not Brand X. Anyway.
Well, so for me, it's like, I would get really weird. Like, I would want to do like either a Circus of Crime book or a specific like Princess Python book. That's stuff that just doesn't, that there's no chance that those things are in anyone's brain in the Marvel Brain Trust. But for me, those are the things that are so weird and outside of our normal, just Tetris box of pieces. Like we just said, what would X Factor be? It would be these 4 characters and throw them into okay, whatever. But get me outside the box. And if they need a Princess Python writer, I'm here.
Yeah. Commandy 9. Speaking of weird characters, Commandy 9, $10. And not weird characters, but this is a high priced book that I didn't know I had, but I'm super down for it. This is Batman 386, first appearance of Black Mask. $100. I've
never heard of Black Mask.
And a beard trim for that one. No kidding. I could get it cut in LA for that price. Black Mask was the bad guy in the most recent Birds of Prey terrible movie. The Harley Quinn
Okay.
Birds of Prey movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the bad guy in that.
Okay.
Much better bad guy in traditional Batman. He's like sort of half mobster, half like...
Yeah, he's got the hat, so he's clearly a gangster. Like, that's a gangster hat.
But like not... You know who he reminds me of in a weird way? And it's not at all an apt comparison, but it's still the way my brain connects them. Is he kind of reminds me of Kilgrave from Marvel books, where he's got this weird psychological or charismatic power.
Okay.
Over that he can use, but also like he's a really strong criminal mastermind. So like he's a weird character, but like he was that movie was so bad, the Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey movie, that I think it kind of has tainted him forever. Okay. So no, and you're right. There needs to be a cohesive, coherent plan. And I don't think there is. And I think a lot of the reason there isn't, did you see there was a podcast that Ross Ritchie was on with Mark Waid?
Okay.
And Ross Ritchie was explaining sort of the economics of working at the big two.
Okay.
And what he was talking about was how you used to have creators who were secure enough that they could take chances.
Right.
in their, and you had editors who were secure enough in their job to let a writer or an artist take a chance on something that might flop or might not.
Yeah.
But these days, because of the way everything is and the way the beans are counted, you have editors who used to be fabulous, fantastic editors who are just editing to not get fired.
Right. Yes.
They're just trying to keep everything vanilla ice cream enough that their losses are acceptable and their gains are reasonable. If they sell 10% more of number one, but overall a series sells less than 10% less than the previous series, they get to keep their job, basically.
Right.
Well, that is no way to generate.
That's not a creative environment.
Right.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer 50 is the foil embossed fantastic, or Silver Surfer. That is a $10.
Man,
and then
I remember chasing that book down. We were in San Diego when that book came out, trying to find it at a comic book store. They were like, nope, nope, nope. I was like, God damn it. And there it is. And there's Kyle. He's like, I got one.
I think I got probably 7 or 8 of them at this point. So Silver Surfer number 82, first full appearance of the Tyrant, $15.
Some good Ron Lim stuff.
But yeah, it's this idea of if you're writing or you're editing or you're creating for your livelihood, can you actually be any good?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why you see a lot of these like Marvel and DC guys going off and doing other things to, make other things because they can make other things. They understand they're taking that risk because it's like, oh, just because I'm a name doesn't mean people are going to buy what I have over here. But at least they get that creative outlet of, I took my shot at whatever it is they're trying to do.
Well, and I recognize that I say that, and it's a very different game for an indie creator, right? Who is, especially somebody who does it full time, who is literally creating to eat, right? They're creating for their livelihood. It's a very different thing when you've been in the industry for 50 years and you're working at Marvel and you're creating, again, here's a perfect analogy because we were talking about football earlier. Alex Smith's last year in Kansas City. Never count out a guy who's playing for his job.
Right.
Well, okay, if you're playing just to not get cut, you're either going to take wild risks and risk failing, or you're going to hand the ball off and run up the middle and win 6 games just enough to not get fired.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening with, I think, some of these editors. And they're editors that I like. New Mutants number 5, $7. They're editors that I like. They're people that I like as people who I would call my friends, who I'm like, where did your talent go? I don't know. It's a weird thing, right? Here's a book that would never come out today. Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter, Warlord of Mars, #1. First appearance of John Carter in Marvel. They would never take a risk on bringing back an Edgar Rice Burroughs character, putting him in a comic book.
No, they leave that to the indie guys, small press guys.
True. And who knows, if they did it right, maybe they would sell a bunch of books because there would be ladies in bikinis on the cover.
Yeah, drawn by Joe Linsner, and
It's true.
If only that were a thing.
If only that were a thing. I'm gonna have that written on my tombstone. If only that were a thing. I say that, bro. I say that 95 times a day. There's this trend going around on social media right now. What is something, without telling me what you do, what is something you say a dozen times a week at your job? And I always have to choose between, well, then you clearly don't understand the point of Batman, or if only that were a thing. I find myself saying to people, then you clearly don't understand the point of Batman more than I thought I would when I became a comic book retailer. And at the same time, God, I wish that was a thing. Somebody
Well,
should make that.
yeah. Yeah.
So, do you have anything coming out this year that you're very excited that you're making?
Maybe.
Ooh.
And it's only maybe because it's a bigger book. It was something we wanted to do last year, but again, with my mom passing, like I had to just shut down stuff with a whole bunch of books that we were doing. And one of them is a shark book that we're gonna release as an OGN. It'll be our first OGN, original graphic novel, versus doing issue by issue by issue. We're just going to say, look, here's 120 pages. There it is. Go. Here's the whole thing. And so we're kind of at a place where we're starting back up on that, but I don't know if we're going to get to it this year because it's a lot of pages to do. So it could very well be next year, but that is sort of one of those things that's in the back of our production that's like, oh, I really want that book out. I want the shark book out. I want to tell the story. I want to see the response to a big OGN like that. Like, what is the response? What are people going to say? Are they going to be like, well, where's the issues? And I'm going to be like, well, God damn it. Or are they going to just be happy that they have the whole story in one shot in a nice package? We'll do a hardcover version, a softcover version. So I'm kind of excited to take that experiment in the genre and the concept and in the book size. So if it's not this year, it'll be next year for sure. But it's on our sort of moving to the front burner, and then we'll see how fast it moves.
Well, listen, if you do a shark book and it does really well, because you do everything through Kickstarter, and this is something you can add in after you do the crowdfunding. If it does really well, I really want there to be a line at the end, like just it can be a to be continued bubble at the end that says we're going to need a bigger book.
We're going to need a bigger book. Yeah, that's good.
You can have it. I want no credit. Oh God!
We'll do that when we sell out of it and we do like an absolute size, like a big ass. We'll say this is the bigger book. Yeah.
It's just larger, not bigger.
This is bigger.
Yeah. Just junior. Okay. We have the Secret Society of Supervillains and the JLA are body swapping. This is a continuation in Justice League 167 for $15. And I don't know what happens in this book. Oh, it's the true origin of the Red Tornado. This is Justice League of America 192 for $10. Jay wants to know what the next movie is on your list, and I'm scared of what's about to happen. Because
I've only seen one
about movies the way I feel about movies.
Yeah, I've only seen one movie this year, as far as like 26 theater films, and that was Killer Whale. And I knew full well that was going to be really bad, but I really wanted to experience how bad it could be, and it lived up to all my expectations. Like all of my, and in fact, it may have exceeded my expectations of a bad movie. So if you guys, you can take that however you want. You can take that as I've got to see this thing now, or you can say, good, I can dodge that bullet. And I would suggest probably dodging the bullet. But again, if you like that stuff, that just bad sort of animal flicks, there's not really much there. You're not going to get a lot of quotable stuff. The dialogue's terrible. It's bad. But I had to see it. I know a couple of weeks ago, Send Help came out, Sam Raimi's new movie, which is getting rave reviews. I definitely want to go see Send Help. If I don't see it in theater, I'll see it once it's on streaming for sure. I'm curious about Iron Lung, which is the Markiplier's movie, the YouTube guy. He made a movie, which again has done tremendously well. It's some sort of horror movie based on a video game. So that kind of throws me off because usually when I watch a video game movie, I hate it. There's almost no exception to that. but this is such an odd game. It's like a submarine type of game, so it could work. We'll see. I do want to see that. And I want to see the big one that's on my wish list or my to-do list. I think it comes out in March. Is Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day, his UFO movie. I am 100% on board for that to go see that one. So that's that's the next few weeks of potential releases, and then we'll see what else happens to pop up. But yeah, there's a few on my list that I want to see this year.
So speaking of whale movies, this is Aquaman number.
Oh yeah, little Free Willy homage.
Second, I don't remember. Yeah, Free Willy homage, $10. So here's what we're gonna do, because we're talking about a whale movie. We're gonna do the Aquaman free movie homage for $10. If you claim this book, $10 will go right into Tom's Kickstarter for his current book, current project. And then we're gonna start the next book at $10. You can bid it up if you want, or you can claim it for we're gonna start at $10. When I cover it up, if somebody's bid on it, then it'll go for whatever they've bid on it, and all this money will go into Tom's Kickstarter as well. This is Penny for Your Soul. Yeah. The Temptation of Mary Magdalene. Tom, tell us about Penny for Your Soul, The Temptation of Mary Magdalene.
So that is essentially a prequel to my series, Penny for Your Soul. It was something that we did after we did the first mini series. I wanted to get a little deeper into the Mary Magdalene character and some of the stuff that we wrote in the Penny for Your Soul series. So it's a very Mary and Lucifer story, and it's called The Temptation of Mary Magdalene, sort of like you had the Temptation of Jesus Christ, right? Where the devil tempted him for 40 days and whatever it was in the desert. So we kind of did a story similar to that, where Lucifer shows up and he's like, let me give you this, let me help you out, let me da 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 da. And Mary's got to go through her process of who she is and what she wants and why and so on. So this is just a one shot. It reads completely on its own. If you want to grab it 100%, you'll be able to read it, understand it, and you'll be fine. But it will also lead to the Penny for Your Soul series that we're doing. And that's a series of recurring miniseries, 7 issues. And that has a definitive ending as well, because each miniseries is the first sign of the apocalypse. So war, the 4 horsemen, of course, that's what we've done those already. And then we're moving into the last of the signs. So it's only going to last so much longer, but it's been a very popular series for us. And that cover is the B cover, done by JB Netto. He does the main art for the series. He doesn't do the art for that book, but he does the art for the series. In fact, FICO Osio does the art for the interiors of that. He was the original critter artist for like 20 issues. And I just discovered on yesterday, that he is now drawing Batman and Robin for DC. Awesome.
Very cool. So again, guys, if you want to, you can claim the Aquaman, and $10 will go to Tom's Kickstarter. If you want to bid on the Penny for Your Soul, it starts at $10. Obviously, somebody just throw $10 in the chat. We'll give it like 10 minutes or so. And if nobody wants to bid it up, then we'll throw that $10 on Tom's Kickstarter as well. So shout out to those guys. Hi, Jenna.
And I'll tell you, because we're talking about Free Willy right there, that the Killer Whale movie I told you about, it's called Killer Whale. It's basically Free Willy meets The Shallows. That's the movie. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. It's literally Free Willy meets The Shallows. So you can take that and do whatever you want with it as far as watching movies for yourself.
I don't know what to do with that information.
It just is what it is.
Free Willy. I conceptually I understand Free Willy on all levels, down to the Michael Jackson song. I know The Shallows.
Okay.
I don't know how they do this.
They don't do it well. but they do it. Yeah. Yep.
So this is why I don't see movies, guys. Because
Well,
now,
you
like, I
got to
want
see the right ones. I take the bullets sometimes. I take the bullets. Like somebody in the list was like, some people give you static, but I like your movie list. It's like, I take those bullets sometimes. I was there on day one for Madam Web to let you guys know you didn't need to be there. Like, I will take those bullets for you. Like, I'm here for
Madam
you.
Web, the movie that single-handedly has ruined CPR trainings of millions of people because they think it actually works for everything now.
It just ruined everything. It ruined everything.
Sure. It was real bad.
Yeah.
It was real bad. No, yeah, Jenna, smile and nod, Kyle. Smile and nod. No,
Listen, think about this at Sony. They were like, you know what? We've got Sydney Sweeney, and we're putting her in a skin-tight latex Spider-Girl costume. You know what we should do? Probably not show that for more than about 2 minutes. Hello? Somebody got fired. Somebody had to have got fired.
No, that's super true. I mean, the number of missteps that went into Madam Web.
Oh my God.
So
Endless.
I will share with the internet how I watched Madam Web's story. It's not something I would generally share, but it's late at night. We're here. It's me and Tom, and we're having a good time. Back before I stopped partaking in the devil's lettuce because didn't realize it countermanded my SSRI. Or was counteracting my SSRI. I was partaking in the devil's lettuce. I decided to take a whole lot of that and then get on a Discord hangout with a bunch of my friends from college. And we all watched Madam Web at the same time while all under the same influence. And it may have been the most low-minded, high-minded, what is this dreck we're watching conversation that has ever happened. Like, these are the same people who we had a critical critique of Manos, the Hands of Fate, and Birdemic. Right? Like,
really spending your time well. Yeah.
You know, it was college. But like we all got back together and we're like, we're gonna do Madam Web, and like I couldn't get off my couch. Like that's how stoned I was. And I go, guys, I don't think I want enough drugs for this movie. Like I can't walk, but I'm not high enough for this crap. Anyway, so that is my review of Madam Web.
It's rough.
Speaking of characters that I'm not stoned enough for.
It's rough. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
The Human Fly, number 1, $5. That is the origin of the Human Fly, a.k.a. Richard Deacon. It says first Fantastic issue on the cover. It's one of those books that, like, if you've not read it and you are a Marvel fan, you should probably read it. But, like, it isn't the greatest Marvel book you've ever read, but it is interesting.
The wildest superhero ever because he's real. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, speaking of terrible movies,
you gonna drop a Catwoman adaptation on us? Catwoman adaptation right here. Boom.
No, the characters that first appear in this comic that I'm going to put up appear on screen in the awful Thor: Love and Plunder movie.
Oh.
A movie with which I ask for a refund at the end of the movie. This is Thor 361. It's $10. It is the first appearance
it's the goats.
Of Thor's goats.
The goats.
Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder, a.k.a. my nickname when I go to the dentist.
It's the goats. That's good old school Walt Simonson stuff right there.
Mm-hmm. So I sold them to a shop in Adrian to my buddy Jeff, who needed some books for his wall. But one of the other things that came in this collection, along with this, were the first appearances of Throg.
Mm-hmm.
And I had forgotten that Throg's government name was Simon Walterson.
Mm.
Because they're like, we're gonna pay homage to Walt Simonson. We're gonna flip some things and we're gonna make him a frog.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll have that.
Frog Thor. Yeah. Frog Thor.
Yeah.
It's something. Again, but what's funny is now, people love that stuff. They like Loki Gator and, all that kind of crap. So it was ahead of its time, making weird animals out of our heroes.
True. All right. Let's do this. Let's go with, again, some more fun.
They did that with the Justice League. They turned them all into gorillas. JL Ape.
Although, so you know this about me. I am a big fan of animals doing people things. So JL Ape is one of my favorite things. It's not good, but I dig it. And again, it's one of those, they need to do more of that. On some level, like this, we're not going to take it too serious.
Yeah.
We're going to make a pun. We're going to,
Yeah, I always thought that they should be every year doing an annual for Cap Wolf, where Captain America's a Wolfman. I was like, how is this not just an annual Halloween? Give me a Cap Wolf story. Let's go. And then they started doing it a few years ago. They started bringing some of that stuff back. But I was like, yeah, you're welcome. Clearly was my idea.
True. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I think every year they need to do an annual where it's an animal version of a superhero and donate the money to the World Wildlife Fund or something.
Always taking it a little too far. Annual.
Yeah, 2 steps too far. I mean, that's the other thing that's going to be on my stupid gravestone. He went 2 steps too far. That's why he's probably in the ground right now. All right. Silver Surfer 49. Iconic cover. And we have Silver Surfer 75, another foil embossed, double size, The Death of Frankie Ray.
There's that hollow, stamped, embossed stuff.
It is 90s goodness. So it is very shiny. It is Ron, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely Ron Lim.
Ron Lim's a good guy. I got to interview Ron Lim a couple of times, and he's one of those guys I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to interview Ron Lim. And then I had to have that moment where I talk to myself in the corner and be like, be a goddamn professional, Kyle. And ask him about things other than the Silver Surfer.
Over the Silver Surfer, yeah. On issue 78 of the Silver Surfer, page 12, right. You drew him upside down for some reason.
Right. Well, no, and it's like the first time I interviewed John Romita Jr. and I said to him, tell me all the things about Spider-Man. And he just looked at me. I'm like, no. Is there a more encyclopedic knowledge than the Romita family tree of Spider-Man? He went, oh, well, probably not. And I go, okay, so tell me all the things. And so he starts telling me stories about his dad yelling at him for drawing the wrong number of webs in certain spots. And these are the stories I wanted to hear. So, I don't know. That was my problem with Ron Lim, right? Is I just want to be like, tell me, and him and Starlin, tell me all the things about Thanos. Tell me all the things about Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
All right, gang. We've got a few minutes left. We're gonna wrap up for the night here in just a couple of minutes. But I want to give you guys one last shot at the Aquaman Free Willy homage for $10. And this is still, your opening bid would be $10 on Penny for Your Soul, The Temptation of Mary Magdalene, which is from Big Dog Inc., which is Tom's company. And if you claim either of these books or bid on either of these books, all the money is going right into the GoFundMe, or not GoFundMe, the Kickstarter. It's a very different thing than GoFundMe. Kickstarter for Tom's current project, which is, tell everybody about it again.
Legend of Oz, right there on my wall. Dorothy Gale, gunfighter, 6-gun shooter, ruby bullets, ruby spurs, Toto's her horse. The first book is basically The Wizard of Oz, just with all the Western twists. And then we continue the series, telling it in our own way, but using sort of bullet points from L. Frank Baum's stories, the search for Ozma, the battle with the Gnome King, and so on, but telling it as we kind of weave in and out of his story points with our own. So if you know Oz, you're going to see sort of the Easter eggs as we're going along. But if you're not familiar with all that Oz stuff, then you're just going to get basically a nice steampunk, adventure story that has a nice long run. We're working on volume 7 this year. And if you haven't read the book, you can get them all on the Kickstarter. If you want to do them one at a time, you can go to bigdoginc.com and all of our stuff is there. You can pick up books at your convenience and we'll send them right to you.
Hey, Tom, can you put the link in the private chat for the Kickstarter so I can throw it in the regular chat? Cool. All right, gang. If you watch this on the replay and you want to grab either of those books, feel free to hit me up. You guys know how to get a hold of me. If you're into that, go check out Tom's Kickstarter. Go check out Big Dog Inc.'s Kickstarter. Like, we don't have a lot of folks on who are doing Kickstarters anymore, except on Mel and Mog's show. And that's an oversight on my part, really. But I always like having, again, guys like Tom, my other friends who are doing Kickstarters on, to promote their work, promote their good stuff. And that's the thing, like, you're not gonna be disappointed. No. Buy the book. If you back Tom's Kickstarter and you don't like it, you call me, and I will come to your house and I will explain to you why you are wrong. Yeah, you're gonna dig it, I promise. So head over to Kickstarter and support it that way. Support my buddy Tom. Conventions, what are you doing? Where are you at? Where can people come find you?
I'm going to be in Grand Rapids in a couple of weekends at the Comic Signal for their 10-year anniversary. We're going to have a Critter exclusive that they're doing there, so that'll be cool. And then I think we're going to be at Detroit in May, Motor City. So we're still kind of waiting on like official confirmation, but I don't know why we wouldn't be back in again. We've been there the last 2 years. So Detroit will be at C4 up in Traverse City. Which is like the week before that. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll be at Oz. So it's Oztravaganza in Chittenango, New York, which is sort of middle north of New York. They invite us out there every year. It is an Oz festival. They even put us in the parade for some reason. But this will be my 13th consecutive year as a guest at that event. So I'm the longest running active guest in the history of the show outside of like the Munchkins that don't come anymore because they're all dead. So there's only one other guy who's been doing it longer. He's the MC. He's the guy that runs the whole show. Not runs the show, but he's like the host every year, John Fricky. So he's been doing it for like 40 years. So I've got a long way to go on him. But as far as all the other guests in the history of the show, I'm the longest current running active guest at 13 years. So yeah.
Ozfest sounds like a good time.
It is. It's a nice outdoor festival. So it's not like Comic-Con. Don't think of it like Comic-Con. It's outside, it's under tents, it's in a big park, so it's trees and grass and everything. It's a festival. So there's like there's like food carts and carnival rides and all that kind of stuff. So it's very fun.
Very cool. All right, guys. So thank you to Tom for being here. Stick around tomorrow. I will be back at 1:00 Eastern for a double-sized, double-long Order Up the FOC show with Kurt Pyers and Tony Fleece, along with Matthias Lewis, obviously my normal co-host. And then Nick is doing a Friday the 13th art show where he will have original pages for $13 and $14 in some cases, because he's slashing them like a serial killer in a movie that Tom and I would both be like, could have been better. So then Nancy will be here. Nancy McCann from Comics Unlimited will be here tomorrow night with her normal, okay, it's the end of the week. Let's everybody relax and have a great vintage and request show. So everybody tune in for all the things. We will see you next week live from Comics Pro at random times, because it'll be the middle of the night here, but it'll be normal times there. So we'll see you guys on down the road. Thanks for hanging out.